Have a
Do you
great
think
time.
your personality has doomed you or not?
It has.
Ah. Welcome to Sanity's Stop Check with Debbie and Sichach. Episode title: Personality, Elon's Nazi Salute, and Your Sanity. Hi, Sichach. Tell me something about your personality since we are talking
About,
about personality.
but okay, I think maybe we start at addressing what personality is, right?
Yeah.
What's your thinking? Because when people talk about personality, at times people may confuse this with, I don't know, character or something that is quite malleable. It is here, but I think maybe the best definition of personality, at least in my experience, is how do you interact with the people around you consistently, yeah? So like,
Mhm.
of course, like there are those external things that show about you, and then there are internal things that are there about you, right? So I think maybe we can divide also personality into external personality, internal, but basically is how do you consistently interact with the people around you. I think that's how I will defend. I don't know how you think about personality.
Personality, I genuinely think it's your unique set of characteristics, things that, despite a change of environment, would still be you. But I also understand that personality can be shaped over time because of the environment you are in. Sometimes you get traits and traumas that shape you to who you are. So yes, there's a unique set of who you are as a person, but I also think the environment shapes your personality.
Okay, for me, that's interesting you're saying that, but I don't know. I have a very contrary view on this thing, right? Because
Mhm.
I think personality is quite like, I think after a certain age, yeah, I believe like maybe 6, 7 years, people should fact check me on this, yeah, like, or after the age, I think when you enter into your teens, right?
Mm.
I think that's the last chance of your personality becoming malleable, right?
Okay.
Because again,
Yes.
like when you talk about environment affecting your personality, right? So maybe we
Yes.
start by saying, okay, culture, the culture around how you are raised, right?
Your family setup.
Eh,
Yes.
exactly, family norms, your
Mm.
friends, yeah, the
Mm.
social groups that you admire or you are in, yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea is, right, even like after a certain point, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
you are what you are because a very huge section of your personality is genetic, yeah. It's, you remember the idea of like, we don't come here tabula rasa. So for example, if people in your, let's say your parents, yeah, are very anxious, yeah, or
Yeah.
someone, one of your parents has depressive disorder, you are likely to develop the same, right? Okay, I know
Yeah.
that's not personality, it's a disorder, but a lot of
Yeah.
traits are genetically adaptable, yeah. It's not, it's, what is it, like, you are, it's the idea that you are the dream of many ancestors, yeah. So like you are adapted to the environment that they lived, and you are adapting
Yes.
to your environment. So after your formative years, I think your personality becomes set in stone, yeah. What I think
Mm.
happens with the environment is, yeah, let's say you are in a professional environment, you are at work. So what happens at work is there are rules at work which you need to abide by. But
Yeah.
let's say we are going to get into this deeper, the traits etc here, but let's just say you are extremely extroverted, right? And
Yes.
you are in a role that needs you to spend 10 hours in an office alone, yeah.
Yes.
You will do the role, yeah, but the job will, you are likely to quit that job from
Yes.
that situation, right? it does not fit who you are. So I think personality is permanent. We use the different environments, we adjust ourselves to different environments to fit the environment. But I think it's quite a set in stone trait, or for lack of a better word, a set in stone situation. Yeah. You are who you are. You
Yeah.
are what you are not. You are not what you are not. And I think that's it. I don't know if you
I,
agree or.
I want us to dial back what you've said, that your personality can affect even the type of job you're in. So, do you think that, for example, our education systems should be focusing more on teaching children about their personalities and some of the career paths they can join? Ama, what do you think? What do you really think about that?
I don't know if you teach someone how to be them, but I don't know if I can read you something I wrote a while ago. Yeah? So I wrote a statement called dynamic education, right?
Mm,
Uh, so about dynamic education, where human beings are not equal, but
yes.
to bring it to somewhere acceptable, human beings are differently gifted. I have met
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people in my life, and by a lot I mean like 100. And yes, it is a sample. What I'm trying to say is that there is a category of humans, people who can do everything exceptionally well. Let us call them geniuses. And people who can
Yeah.
do a specific thing more than what the word excellent means, because in their eyes, excellent is good in their specific assessment, and great is useless. Let us call them specialists. This is my
Mm-hmm.
argument as to why we need dynamic education. Everyone at their own pace at the same time. Still at this age, in the year 2025, yeah, we are using age as a way to determine who is where at what time, right?
Yes.
So to to some extent, I do agree with your statement. Like, okay, perhaps maybe we tailor our education systems towards different personalities, though I think it has the problem of, we need to do, for let's say for a society to work, we need all to do something within the overtone window, right? And
Mm-hmm.
actually, personality is usually distributed on a normal distribution curve. Most people have the same traits. The people who are at the extremes are the ones that maybe suffer most. But here at the middle, most people have the same traits. So you may do all that, but bit of the cost benefit analysis does not add up there. Although that logistics will still lead to somehow the same results. What I can say honestly is, I'm not sure if that's a way to go, but I think there are also other factors that really come into play when maybe deciding an education system, right? So,
I was,
like,
mm,
what is your economic stability, for example, right? So, your
mm,
immediate environment, yeah? It affects you.
mm,
And that's why I was saying, like, we have things that, like culture, which almost like package the personality of a community or a society, yeah, into
mm,
into something that can benefit the group. Yeah. And I think
mm.
that's my thinking. Yeah. Maybe maybe let's, I don't know, maybe first, because I think we are getting too ahead of ourselves. Yeah. We should
Let's
maybe,
backtrack.
no, true. Let's backtrack a little bit. Yeah. Let's look at maybe personality types, right? Because
Yes.
I've just said that they are distributed in a normal curve. Yeah. And uh, I don't know how many, let's say, how many types of personality tests are you aware of, or so far?
I think like two or three. I think the traditional one was you're either an introvert or an extrovert. And then we had the 15 type personality test. And then there's a new one I
Myers-Briggs.
saw that is a bit more defined compared to the 16 personality types. So, but my
Okay, maybe.
question, Sichach, was, it
Yeah.
really was, I think, I think when we were like, it would be really beneficial for not at a school level only. Like education is paramount even at home. So
So
like how a parent is
approaches
allows
it
the child to be a bit more aware of
of,
who they are.
who
I'm
they
not
are.
saying I'm not saying you teach them. I'm saying that we put up systems that allow them to be a bit aware of who they are. For example, um, there's a interview of Walter. I think he did the biography of Elon Musk, and he was saying the reason why Elon is who he is today is because the mother was a very free range with him. So he was able to experiment with a lot of things when he was young. That's why his first business was selling like the video game. So the parents were not as restrictive at home. He goes on saying that the mom used to have a bad repertoire with the teachers because they kept on saying um he's very absent minded in class. But she was like, he's very smart. It's just that if he likes something, he's obsessive about it and he will do it exceptionally well. So I agree with you, but I also think we need to put up systems because he was
Is it
basically
is it
saying,
systems
huh?
or is it systems? Because what you are saying is like, okay, I think we have to remember that Elon was born to during apartheid, yeah,
Yes.
rich white parents during apartheid, right? So
Mm,
I agree with you. Let me tell you the part of your statement I agree with. Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
I agree with you that we should be children should be able to explore who they are. I agree
Yes.
with you there, and perhaps as parents, we should give them space to explore who they are, right?
Mhm.
The issue with
Yes.
that, the challenge with that, not even the issue, just the simple challenge with that is when people like for you to explore, yeah, and that's why I was saying there are a lot of things that affect how we become who we are, right? Like you still know
Yes.
who you are, yeah, but to explore who you are requires maybe finances, yeah. So you'll find that
Yes.
in cultures that have a certain per capita income, yeah, people are more open
Yeah.
to who they are. And in Kenya, we used to say that the child will
Yeah.
rot. Yeah? The parents are spoiling them, right?
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of freedom to do what they want. No one is questioning. No one is near. That's the freedom that comes with, let's say, financial independence of some sense,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So, like, there's a
mm.
certain respect given to you as a human being, even when you are young. But when you don't have the financial safety, it means one, you may be living in a dangerous neighborhood. So if you
Yes.
are the adventurous type, yeah, it's dangerous for you. As a parent, I'm going to have jitters thinking of you
Mm,
like you're going out to explore. What are you exploring? Like we have a fence. Or
mm. You don't want
you like
errors.
yeah.
Mm.
Or now you want to go to music school, right? You want to learn an instrument. You're telling me, Dad, buy me a piano or buy me, yeah. I'm like, I also want someone to buy me a piano in that space, right?
Okay.
I'm not going,
Okay.
I can't afford to pay for you piano classes because I pay for you piano classes, you don't eat for a month. Yeah? That doesn't work. I can't afford to let you be adventurous. I also can't afford to have you stay in the house the full time as you experiment on something because we don't have, me and your mom don't have enough space for sexual visits, for sexual activities. So I have to tell you go out and play with your friends. So it's like when you think like that, yeah, it's not that simple. It's not that simple, at least at the family level. And I think that's where the
Yeah.
social level comes, right? And that's what we were talking about in the beginning. Like, that's where the education part comes, the school system
Mm,
comes. Because our school systems have the ability to provide keyboards, they have the ability to provide space for children to explore. They have the ability to provide these things because we can't do it at home for one reason or another. I don't think there's any
yeah.
parent who is like, I don't want my child to become. Again, you are the dream of many ancestors, and I promise you, you are a dream of your parents. So, like, I don't know. Yeah, that's my argument. But yeah, I asked you about Nini, and you are very wrong, by the way. You people in the comments, you
What?
should call Debbie out. How many personality types? Okay, I'm going to teach you something. Eh? I don't know. When we were in campus, did you ever do a class in psychology?
No, no, no.
So, like, okay, I'm just going to give you a brief history of personality, right? So you
Yeah.
have something we call the Hippocrates type theory of personality. So what Hippocrates does is he divides personality into temperament, yeah, and something called body humor and behavior, right? So, like, let's say he says the body humor blood. So the temperament is sanguine, and these are people who you will say confident, cheerful, optimistic, hopeful, active, or what you describe as an extrovert, right? Yeah. The other type
Yeah.
is phleg or mucus. See, phleg is mucus, yeah. So the temperament is
Yeah.
phlegmatic,
Yeah.
yeah. So this a phlegmatic type is based on the behavior in that category is someone who is sluggish, someone who is apathetic, yeah. And then there's like black bile, yeah. So this is
Yeah.
someone the temperament is melancholic. See, these are people who are depressed, sad, um, anxious, etc. Yeah? And then you have yellow bile, yeah, or what the temperament here is choleric, yeah. And these are people who are excitable, irritable, aggressive, yeah.
Mhm.
But again, like everything old, like it does not exactly paint the more detailed picture we have today, and I'm sure even the types that we have today will be developed further. Because can I say a bad joke? They should have done a calm personality, calm body humor. What?
So,
No, like it's very
Mhm.
possible, right?
But
And
there's something you've mentioned, and I don't want it to pass. You've said you've basically outlined the fact that economic factors
yeah.
can influence personality.
No, I think they can, yeah, they can. But what I think the influence is not personality. They influence how the personality reacts to that environment. So
Mm,
it's something that someone can say like, oh, character. It's character, right?
mm,
Because like I think character is how you interact with your environment. So there's Debbie here. This is who Debbie is with all your experiences, your trauma, your whatever. This is who you are. Your genetics, your experiences,
mm,
your trauma. This is who you are after formative years. This is who you are. And then you are in this environment. So let's say you give me 100 million shillings, right? I am still Sichach. That's why I say that it's quite a stable way of identifying someone, right? It's how you react to people
mm,
around you. That's your personality. Yeah? People actually externally people can identify who you are because of your personality. And if something changes in that, the people out you are likely to be the last person to notice it, right? So you give me 100
mm,
million right now, yeah, like it's
mm,
still the same personality profile but with 100 million shillings, right? i'm
mm,
still I'm still
mhm,
likely to do to be very like to want to do innovative to want to talk about innovative ideas. I'll have access to better ideas, better concepts. I'll have access to more people, because when you have money you have access to more people. Yeah, that changes a lot, right? It's who I am. Yeah, I'll
yeah,
probably take bigger risks because I'm the risky type. I'll do that.
yeah,
It's still the same person, yeah. But because
mm,
I'm not on survival mode, yeah, people
mm,
people will develop almost like it's almost like a cult around me because of that. Like you get, and that's why in Kenya, like when you are rich, people want to follow you. People want your example. People want
mm,
you to tell them how you did it, how they should live their lives, how they should be. Yeah. And I think the perfect person, you mentioned Elon Musk, right? And
Yeah.
like you mentioned that like because of the way he was brought up, right? If we want to go on, I promise you, if another person is brought up that way, they become a different person. They don't become Elon Musk, right?
Yes.
And you
Yes.
find you find Elon Musk like the teachers were like, okay, like this kid is spoiled, yeah, like the way you are raising him, this kid is spoiled, yeah. So when Elon Musk goes to an inauguration rally, which is not about him, yeah,
Mm.
he has a Nazi salute, and after people
Yeah.
in America are like, we don't know what a Nazi salute is. Everyone knows what it is, but a lot of people don't want to call it what it is, right? And
Yeah.
it is something that it's about him, right?
Mm.
Maybe he didn't get enough attention as a child, so that's what you are
That
saying,
makes it
that
true.
your environment is affecting who you are, right? So what he
Yeah, I
does
think.
is, this event is not about me, but I want people to talk about me, right? He thinks
Yeah.
himself as this radical frontier breaking person, right?
Yeah.
And that was the only way to
I
be
I
radical in that
I,
space.
I
So
genuinely think I don't think Elon Musk can stay in a calm environment. It's either he's obsessing about his interest and finding solutions, or he's making drama, and that is just who he is, honestly. So people take him very seriously because of the type of influence he has. For example, people
yeah,
are
that's wait,
constantly
wait,
questioning. Mm.
pause. Just, I mean, that's what I was saying. You give me money, I become a cult, right? Like, exactly, people take interest because of me. I'm not saying that he didn't earn his money, and this is the problem with being a human being, yeah. You are a lot of
Yeah.
things. You are not good or bad.
Yes.
You are a lot of things, yeah. So for example,
Yes.
I see people try to shit on his achievements, like, oh, he was not a founder of Tesla, he just kicked out the
Yeah.
founders, and then etc. Okay, but will those founders have made Tesla to what it is today, right?
No.
Or
No.
SpaceX is not an engineer. Like, there's something that he does. Look at what, like SpaceX, you have Neuralink. Even when we think about the AI revolution, yeah? He was part of the founding
Eh,
members of ChatGPT, right? OpenAI, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
like, there's something about him that is positive, right?
Yes.
But also, he's a human being, and I
Yes.
don't think human beings like to see gods bleed, right? Because to a lot of people, he is
Yes.
an idea. He is an idea, right? Elon
Mhm.
Musk is an idea to a lot of people. So even when he
Yes.
does stupid shit, yeah, people want to claim
Yeah.
it's genius, right? And actually, because of his wealth, yeah, it almost
Yeah.
becomes dangerous when he's doing stupid shit. And it's okay.
Mm.
I'm not saying we should do anything about it, but it's fine. It's not my job to do anything about that. It's fine. What I'm just saying is, it's true what you are saying, yeah? Our environment does affect who we are. Economics do
Yes.
affect, but I'm going to put economics as part of environment, right? Affect who we
Yeah.
are. But I think genetics really come in heavy with who we are. Yeah. So
They
like,
really do.
because it's your
Um.
initial adaptation to surviving. So like,
Yeah.
it's an adaptation to survival. Yeah? And if I'm born, let's say for example, in our case, you're born in Kenya, in a specific area with specific people, right?
Yes.
So like, automatically you are adapted to being Kenya. You know what to expect
Yes.
even as a child. So when
Yes.
you go to school and people talk to you, you know how to answer. So
Mm.
when you meet someone who is Kenyan, let's say you take a 3-year-old Kenyan and a 3-year-old Tanzanian, right? They are
Mm.
still in their formative ages, yeah? But they're still
Yeah.
individuals still at that point. And what you discover is the Tanzanian is more likely to be more polite than the Kenyan
Mm.
kid. We adapt. We have the cultural adaptation and the genetic adaptation. And then you have your like, these are the things that actually affect us most. But Now, in case during growing up you face some traumas, it makes you like, I need to protect myself more. I need to do this more. Again, it changes who you are. But I think after a certain point, you have enough agency in this world as a human being that you are likely to try to impose who you are to the world. So your personality stops changing. So I think that
I'll give an example. When I was growing up, when I was small, I was the middle. I was the last born, so of course a lot of attention was on me. But with the type of environment that was at home, I was never encouraged to speak up. I was never encouraged to have my own idea. I always had to follow someone's lead. So when I entered high school, it completely changed. It looked like my personality changed, but in real sense, it was just a change of environment. At home, I was very quiet, very demure, very cutesy. When I went to high school, all of that changed. It affected me till date because I can't stop shouting. Like even in a normal conversation, I can find myself shouting and we're just two people.
yeah. So
Like
either
I genuinely
either you
feel
didn't
sometimes
change, either you I
I
don't
didn't
think you
change.
changed. You didn't
I
change,
didn't
but
change. I'm saying
yes,
it was a
but
change of environment
so
that
how Debbie
allowed
reacts
me.
to, yeah, that's what I was saying. How Debbie reacts to a certain environment, yeah, makes her seem different, right? Because
Yes.
you are already formed as a person. So how you react to a certain environment makes you different, right? You take me
Mm,
to another country, I become very different. You teach me another language, I become very different, right? Especially when you're
mm,
speaking
mm,
a language that is not your first language. For example, in this video, the way like we're talking, like English is,
mm.
it's weird. Kenyans, we are native English speakers, but we usually don't speak English purely, right? So I think people who are
Yes,
listening to this podcast can gather that no, like we speak English, but we are not. That's not our first language, right? So
it isn't
I'm
our
like,
first language.
yeah. So like maybe this same episode, yeah, becomes very different if we were talking in a different language, right?
I did my A1 class in German. And after that, those classes, I realized why German people are seen like as stern people and very straightforward. But it's because their language is purely like that. So that is why we have a perception that German people are usually straightforward and stern and they they are not as flexible, but that is within their language, like elements of their language. Even the structure of their sentences is so straightforward. So like you get to understand why certain people act in a certain way. It was before I steer off, there was a conversation we were having with a friend, and we were saying how in Kiswahili, which is another language spoken in Kenya, that there's no genders. Like there's no gender in our language.
In
Like
Kiswahili, we
there's
don't have genders.
no,
There is no gender pronouns, right? But we have
there are no
gender.
gender pronouns. We do have gender, but we don't have gender pronouns. Like we don't,
And
there's
also,
no a he or a her in
exactly.
Kiswahili. There is no, I think people were just regarded as people. And then the concept of life was not in staircases. Like human beings and animals, we are all the same because there is life. So you get to understand how people think also through their language. So I think also that can affect personality. Mm.
But I think that
'Cause
language becomes part of culture, doesn't it?
language is part of culture,
Yeah,
yeah.
because, and that's also why I'm saying, like, oh, okay, let me let me hypothesize, eh? And this is an idea.
Okay.
It's a very old idea I have. I was like,
Mhm,
if I think there's a way that you can simulate a person from when they are born to when they die,
mhm,
right? If you know their
mhm,
personality at birth, right? And
mhm,
you basically just know. which country they live in for
Mhm.
the past
Mhm.
20 years. I think you can simulate a
Mhm.
person to the end, right? Which
Mhm.
country they were born in, and if they live in that country for the next 20 years, right? I think you'll know
Yes.
who this person, how this person will die. Like, okay, hear
Let
me out.
let
Wait a
let me
minute.
be the devil's advocate. Okay. Okay.
Let, wait a minute. It's something that you've said, right? So I think
Yeah.
what happens, yeah, you are being born, right? So you have
Mhm.
biology. That's biology, right? You have your biological form, right? And then
Yeah.
you have your cultural form, yeah. So you have
Mm.
biology and culture. Culture embeds you to your environment, right?
Yes.
To your social environment, yeah? Biology embeds you
Yeah.
to your physical environment, right?
Environment. Yeah.
So, and then the country you are in embeds you to your political and economic environment.
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea is the culture you are born in, right, is really
Mhm.
formative to who you are, because culture, the way culture reacts to environment is like, let's say the food you eat, yeah. I promise you, there is no inland language that has a name for a seafood. There's no, when you
Mm.
go
Yes.
in Kenyan tribes, there's no jinaya pweza, like, or pweza is octopus, right? There's no
Yes.
octopus in Maasai language, right?
No.
So
Yes.
your language
Because
relate
they
to
never
that, yeah?
interacted with it. Yes.
Exactly. The things that are dangerous in your environment
Mm.
are different. That's why there are a lot of jokes of white people nonsense petting wild animals, right? And then someone gets killed, and then like,
It's it it's the reason why when Africans look at like Arab people petting lions in their house, and we're like, why?
I know
Why are
this
you
stupid,
doing
yeah?
that? Right.
But you
Yeah,
see,
it's
like, we have our language reflects that. Like, even the way we speak about our environment, yeah? And that gets embedded into culture. It's one of the fears you gain from your culture, right?
mm, yeah.
So your culture and your biology, yeah, helps you survive, right? I told you, I think
Mm,
earlier, when we were talking in an old conversation, yeah? Well, like,
yeah.
I was telling you, like, culture is a way for the most stupid person in a community to survive, because if they just
Yes,
follow
because it
what is being
accommodates.
said, they won't die.
Yes.
Actually, they might do
Yes.
pretty well. Like, if you
They might
just
thrive.
follow, yeah, like, that's what
Mm,
culture does. It's an it's an adaptation to help the majority of the community to survive. So when you hear, like, when you see people dress in, let's say, Masai's dress in shukas, right? It is
yes.
a reaction to their environment, right? When you see people
Yes.
in northern Kenya in kanzus, yeah, yeah, you are
Mm-hmm.
not going to wear something heavy in that heat,
Yes.
right?
Mm, yes.
When you see, like, the type of houses that people build, right?
Mm,
Like, it takes, like, Amanyata takes the form of the savannah pretty well. Yeah?
yes.
You
Yes.
go to Nyanza, you find round huts with makuti on top. It looks like an acacia, right?
Yes.
We we
Mm-hmm.
adapt to our environment. So we say, like, house, clothes, language. That's culture. So when
It
so like, you might find, like, it was very important for German people to be direct. Yeah, you go to
yes.
languages like French and Spanish, they are gendered languages. It's not like English. At least English is
Yes.
gendered pronouns. Yeah, their language
Yes.
are their languages are gendered, right? So, like, let's say,
Yes.
a, a cat is what is feminine, right?
Feminine.
Their things have gender. So,
Yes.
like, the full language is gendered. So, and I think it's an adaptation to where they were.
Mm,
It is an adaptation to where they were. So I'm like,
yeah.
all these things, yeah, right? And then all these things form you. And I think there's an iterative way that a human beings, you impact your environment, and then the environment impacts you, right? So when you
Yes.
have agency, yeah, like, when you become someone who can impact your environment, yeah, you do that. Like for example, we are having this discussion online because we are like, okay,
Mm.
this this will benefit you in one way or another. You learn something, you will empathize with us, you will tell us
Mm.
your stories in the comments. Actually, if you
Yeah.
can, please write in the comments. You'll share with people
Mhm.
what we are talking about,
Yeah.
because I think that is human beings, we grow when we share ideas. And I'm like, okay, this is how I affect my environment, right?
Mm.
And in turn,
Yes.
when my environment changes, it affects me. And like that until when, let's say, I'm having, let's say, a child, yeah, the
Mhm.
child then comes with a different set of adaptations, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I changed culture around me, I changed the environment, I changed economics, I changed etc. What I need to
Mm.
survive is different. What makes me anxious is different. For example,
Mm.
when if I'm anxious, it's not because like I don't have a door in my house. You get
Mhm.
like the what can I say? The nervous system is still the same, right? So I get the same reaction, yeah. But there's something in
Yeah.
the present world that gives me the same reaction as having my door open, yeah,
Yes.
right? So like, and it's the same. Like the world changes, and that's who we are as human beings. Even though you refused me to teach you personality types, but I wanted to share this, right? So that like
Mhm.
maybe we shift the discussion to something technical about personality,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Okay, so like we are talk about the first, the Hippocrates type, and then we
Yeah.
have Jungian personality types. So
Mm.
Young, unlike you, he didn't split it into two. He split it into four, right? So
Mhm.
basically you had sensation, thinking, yeah, intuition, and feeling, right?
Mhm.
Almost sounds like Myers-Briggs, but he combined only two. So you will have sensation, thinking, yeah. That's someone who is
Yeah.
practical, impersonal, interested in facts, wants order, precision, no ambiguity, values efficiency. And then you'll have someone who is intuition, thinking, right? So they are
Mhm.
conceptual, they see future possibilities through analysis, they are comfortable using flowcharts, generating new ideas, they spark enthusiasm in others. And then you'll have someone who is sensation feeling. Yeah, this is someone who is sociable, interested in facts about people, dislikes ambiguity, likes to establish settings in which people care and support for each other, and usually they have no time for reflection. You have people in intuition feeling, they are creative, they value imagination, warmth, enthusiastic, they don't like rules and procedures, they like flexibility, and they're open to communication. They are seen like very idealistic. And then from this, I think it evolves. You have the Myers-Briggs, right? Where they have the sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, right? Judging,
Mhm.
perceiving, and then they combine them into four, right? So like you can have, and the fourth one is extroversion, introversion. I forgot, right? So it's MBTI, right? So you have sensing,
Yes.
intuition. So the people who prefer collecting information through their five senses. So those are the sensing types,
Yeah.
right? Intuitive people
Mm.
collect information and systematically, right?
Mhm.
Then you
Mm.
have thinking or feeling. Thinking types rely on rational cause effect. Feeling types, on the other hand, consider how their choices affect others, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the
Yeah.
judging, perceiving, judging. So judgy people prefer order and structure, right? And perceiving
Mm.
people are more flexible. And then you have the like extrovert, introvert, right? So extroverted people prefer crowds, introverted prefer personal space. Yeah. So like, and then they combine
Mhm.
this into groups of four. So like example, I am an INTP, right? Some
Mm.
I'm introverted, yeah, introverted, thinking, perceiving, introverted, thinking, perceiving, and what am I missing?
INTP.
And intuition,
I.
and intuitive, right?
Intuition.
I am an
Mm.
INTP, right?
Mm.
So that's if I did my Briggs, that's who I am, yeah. And then you
Let me
have the
ask,
big five,
let me ask,
yeah,
let me
yeah.
ask you, Sichach, you being an INTP, do you think there are times the scale changes?
It depends on the type of I or A you are, right? This, I think, the problem with personality types like Myers-Briggs, yeah, they make people think binary, right?
Mm.
But I promise you,
Yeah.
baby, I've never seen any single binary thing in this world. We are quite
Mm.
analog, right? It's always a spectrum, right? So
Yes.
you may be 100% introverted, yeah. So someone who is
Mm.
0% introverted is extroverted. Is 100% extroverted, right? We are all on that scale, yeah. For someone who is in the extremes, and again, I'd like to remind you that it's all in a normal distribution curve. Right? Oh, another fun
Mm.
thing you should know, right?
Mhm.
Different genders have, like, the flatness of that curve is different for different genders. So at the middle,
Oh.
men and women are very similar. At the center, the people at the center, right? But you are likely
Mm-hmm.
to find men on extremes of each trait, not women, men, right? So you are more likely to. That's why, by the way, it happens such that, yeah. So people, like, let's say, let's move. The fifth one is the big five, right? Because that's what interests me most. The big five personality
Yes.
types, right? So openness,
Yes.
conscientiousness,
Extraction.
extraversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
example, let's say someone who is so disagreeable, who is on
Mm-hmm.
the 99th percentile of disagreeability, yeah, you are most likely to find
Mm.
this person a man. Yeah. Funny thing, it also goes to mental disorders and personality disorders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you are more likely to meet more men psychopaths than women, right?
Yes.
Again, because of
Mm.
aggression, right? And
Mm.
like it affects need, so men are also more likely to sacrifice things more than women, like, but it's the men who are at the tail end, yeah, of that spectrum, yeah? So what happens is, the problem is 1% of 8 billion, yeah, is quite a huge population, right? And
Yes.
because they are the extremes, they are overly represented, like you keep seeing them, so you are likely to take something that happens at the extremes and kind of, what is it called, attaching it to a whole group, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think when you meet,
Like
when
Hitler.
people talk, yeah, I know, so you are likely to call, like, and I think it brings a lot of issues in the world, right? So you may call
Yes.
someone Hitler, right? But they are very
Mm.
average, right? they,
Yes.
they don't have they don't have the need to, like, they are not too sensitive to disgust, because I think this is like, okay, I don't know if this is the right person to quote, yeah, but Jordan Peterson says that, like, that sensitivity to disgust, right, is one of the
Mm.
traits that, like, it's, I think it's in the, what, let me see what dimension sensitivity to disgust is there. It's not in openness, conscientiousness. I think it's in nini, conscientiousness. Yeah, you are nini to order
Mhm.
and etc. Right. So
Yes.
someone who is very sensitive to disgust, yeah, they are likely to be racist, right? Because imagine,
Mm.
Debbie, there was in Europe, yeah, during the Black Plague, right?
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
meet a dirty person, you die, right? But
Yeah.
that's not the right example. The right example is when Europeans went to North America, and they almost wiped out the native Indian population, right? Because they
Mm.
were they came with diseases that the people living in North America were not adapted to. Yeah.
Yes.
So like, I know, like, someone like that can say, don't touch white people, yeah, they are dirty. Actually, we should gather
Yeah.
them and burn them in a small space, yeah.
Mm.
Right. So, like, I
Yeah.
think there's, like, that sensitivity to disgust, yeah, makes someone that, and because maybe he was in the extreme end of it, yeah,
Mm. Mm.
like, it translates into ideology. He has an ideology brought about by culture and the environment in which he lived in, and then in your that specific trait, right, and the
Yeah.
environment and experiences, yeah, he had, and then he
Mm.
comes and says that these people, yeah, like, these
Yeah.
people are dirty, Debbie,
Uh-huh.
okay, the method of killing that he picked, it was gas chambers, right? You are
Okay.
in short this, and the same chemical that's used to kill cockroaches and rats and etc. It was the one that was being used for fumigation. So
Mm.
it's who he was too, like
Um,
at times. So, and because of that, anytime we see people with just a slight of that trait, we become very sensitive, yeah? So anything that happens on the internet, you are likely to be
let
called
me ask,
Hitler, yeah?
let me ask you a question. Based on the sentiments we've had on this discussion, are you trying to say that they're innately murderous people?
Yes, yes, there are people who are psychopaths. Like it's a category, it's a personality disorder. Like,
Like, no, not people who have mental and personality
no,
disorders.
like,
Like,
no, like,
genuinely,
true, true.
they don't have
Like,
any disorder, but they have murderous intent and they work on it. So are you
Debbie,
saying it,
Debbie, what is
it's
a
more,
disorder? What is a disorder?
a disorder is something out of the norm? Mm,
Exactly. And that's what
yes.
I've said. Like, people are usually at the center of the normal distribution curve. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
when you say someone has this disorder, right, it means he's acting outside the norm. Like, a normal person will not react to seeing a woman with blonde hair and wanting to kill them,
Mhm.
right? But there's a way that this person processes emotions or processes the environment that makes him want to kill this person. It's who they are. That's the problem. It's who they are. There's nothing you can do about it. Like,
Oh,
really.
okay.
So there are people who kill because of circumstance, yeah? But there are people who kill because they
Yes.
want to kill, right?
Yes.
And I know. And even when we are talking about personality and career, right? If you have this type
Yeah.
of person, yeah, as a soldier, they would
Yes.
love their job.
Yes.
They'd be so
Yes.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but funny thing, I think it's what? Let me check. I think it's 3% of the population is psychopathic.
Just, yeah.
Just let me confirm. Yeah. Yeah, so like there are 30,000 psychopaths for every a million people.
Those are a lot. Those are a lot of
No,
people.
I'm saying like, but you see, these are people in the normal distribution curve, they're at the extremes. And that's why I said you're likely to find more male psychopaths than female psychopaths. It's not that women are not psychopathic, right? But a few of them have such extreme need of personalities, yeah, that they end up being psychopathic.
Mm, mm.
Because
Okay.
let me tell you something, yeah? There's a
Mm,
child you will beat, and their reaction will be, I don't want to ever see someone being beaten again. I will never raise my hand to somebody.
mm. Yes.
There's another one you beat, they beat everyone from then on. It's who they are.
Yes.
It's who they are.
Yes.
And you can
And
do
and
nothing
and
else.
I think and I think that's why some parents say they discipline their children differently because they are not the same people.
Yeah, like you're not. Like you have, and that's what you were talking about when we started the show. Like different, different children need different treatment. Yeah, and I promise you, parents are very aware. Yeah? Like
Mm,
in my case, yeah, I don't know. Maybe a therapist will see this and then tell me if I'm right in my own assessment. Yeah? I
mhm,
was punished a lot, but what
mhm.
happened with my punishment was, yeah, the more I was punished, the more I became rebellious about it.
Mm.
So punishment never worked for me, except my dad was very old school. Yeah, and the idea was I'll beat the stupidity out of you,
Like
right?
a normal African father.
Yeah, and now I always come with my bullshit. It never changed. right? I'm 30
So
years old. I don't
where
care.
did he
So,
change? Where did he
yeah,
pivot? Ama he never pivoted.
he never pivoted with me, right? But by the
Ah,
time he was raising my younger sister, he had seen results. So by the time my younger sister was a teenager, so like the
yeah,
results were in, because I have an elder sister and myself. Yeah? So you already know the results, right? Like your experiment failed. That was, I would have raised this person like this. Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
like he pivoted, and I think when you meet, I don't know if you've ever met my younger sister, but when you meet her, we are very different people. Very. I'm very likely to have anger outbursts, but I burn quickly. Like she's not like that.
It's because you had two different parents. Yes, it's one parent, but those are two different fathers.
I
Like,
know at different stages of my life,
yeah,
at different stages. So like there's this like during your formative years, yeah, there is
yeah,
there's a lot that happens, yeah. But again,
yeah,
it shapes you for the rest of your life, yeah? And I think this is what I'd say because I think we've talked enough, right, about the
yeah.
topic. I don't know if there's anything else. This on my end, this is what I think, right? Like we can only change things if we are able to change our environments. You really need to have agency as a person to change your environment. Yeah? Because after that, you will react to your environment differently. So some people do this. Some people, like for example, yeah, I think my father changed because his environment changed. Now the kids are two grown-up kids. That changes your environment fundamentally, and he
Yes,
reacts to that environment differently. There's a
yeah.
lot of things that change our environment. Yeah? So if you're in an abusive space, yeah,
Hmm.
find just go another place, walk out, go another place. Yeah? I know it's not that easy, but
Yeah.
that changes a lot. You become someone different. That's why people change towns. Yeah? That's why, like in
Yeah.
Kenya, you hear people like, for example, me, I was like, when I finished my Form 4, I was like, I can't study at Egerton University. It's like 100 meters from home.
Same. I say
I,
I lived near KU, Kenyatta University, and I was like, never,
yeah, like,
never can I go to KU.
yeah,
No.
like, but you go somewhere else, you're still the same person, but at least you can be something different to other people.
Yeah.
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 And I think, like, I don't think you can change personality. I think you can build character. And I think building character is
Yeah.
that it is understanding that it's being aware of where you
Mhm.
are, the environment you are. You know these HR people when these people who talk about what is it called, emotional intelligence, right?
Yes.
Up to this discussion, I used to think they were wrong, right? But I think they define emotional intelligence wrong. I think it
How
needs
do
a simple. I think the definition is like the ability to understand the environment you are in and how you can manipulate it. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
that should be
So
emotional
true.
intelligence, right? That should
Okay.
be emotional intelligence. Yeah. I don't know, like what you have to say, like on your end. What are you getting away with from this discussion? Because again, that's the point of discussion, right? We learn
Yeah.
we learn from each other, right?
What I've learned from this discussion is that we are innately unique. Each and everyone is innately unique to ourselves. But the uniqueness also is a part of the environment we are in. And then my takeaway is that economic factors is part of an environment that we need. So, but it explains why rich people continue being rich. It explains why um, we are taught thinking. You are taught thinking by who raised you. Like you are genuinely taught how to think. It's not just about a morality scale. It's also like how do you process information? You are taught to do that from a very young age. So that's my takeaway. But the economic factors. Now I need to marry a rich man. I need to marry a rich man. And not new money, old money. so that I can be exposed to that type of environment and know
You know,
and build my character.
no, I think, baby, yeah, you marry like who said you'll build your character into something good?
Well, how is that your problem? See, that
I know
is my
it's the problem
problem
of
with
your rich
you.
man.
That is none of you guys' problem. So,
Uh,
yes, but I genuinely now understand why resources are important because it makes you a bit more liberal in nature and
but
flexible.
but there are a lot of rich conservative people. Actually, my argument will be the richer you are, the more conservative you are. You have something to lose. You hate change
Well,
because change comes with disruption.
but it's called the first principle, the first basic principle, whereby there's something common between a rich conservative person and a rich liberal person. And I think that is
Yeah,
only you can only know or be exposed until you're in such an environment.
you
So,
don't know what you are. Debbie, do you
pardon?
think I'm liberal? Am I liberal or am I conservative?
Um,
I'd like to know. Just
I don't. I think you're very liberal in thought. Mm,
in action.
however, people can view you as conservative based on how they perceive you. But genuinely, how I have perceived you, because perception is reality, right? So how I perceive you is you're a very liberal person.
I
The
think you are
world is funny
conservative.
and people, ah,
I think you are conservative. You
why?
don't know. Huh? Why?
Why?
I picked on your personality tests results.
You said
Like
I was an
you
average
remember?
person.
Okay, let me tie this to the show, right? As we go, let me tie this. Yeah, like when we started discussions here, you're saying like your thinking was like, okay, we need to raise every individual as an individual, right?
Yes,
So for you, the individual is very important, yeah, and
yes,
that's a sign of conservativeness. Like the funny thing, also you mentioned systems, yeah, and I'm
yeah.
like, okay, that's a liberal thing. Systems are a liberal thing, yeah, because just
Mm-hmm.
look at what liberal values are, or left liberal values, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about, the political compass, right? But let's look at
yeah,
someone left liberal, yeah? Someone who is left and liberal are like they really believe that what we need are better systems, right? Because they have the most social benefit. Yeah. So
yes.
when this person is authoritarian liberal, or what people used to call the woke ideology, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
idea is there is no individual, we are all equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does it translate to the world? They translate to the world as something like, because we are all equal, women are in and women are equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need equal outcomes. That's an authoritarian leftist. Yeah? For me, I
Mm-hmm.
know what I am politically. I'm a libertarian leftist, or what
Mm-hmm.
people call a social democrat. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like the control of the authority. Yeah? I believe like the individual, like I'm the person to say like, yeah, like when everyone we need, you need to go to school, yeah, but going
Mm-hmm.
to a good school is up to you. You need to have access to medical care free, yeah, but if you want a different hospital, it's on your budget. Like, so at least for my argument is we need the systems so that the systems can support the individual, right? And then you meet someone who is a right libertarian, yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, someone who is left libertarian at the extreme is an anarchist, right? We don't want the
Yes.
government. Like, we'll need like the social system will work itself out, right? And someone who is left authoritarian is
Mm.
basically Stalin, right? Stalin.
Yes.
When you are right authoritarian, you are Hitler. You are a fascist. right? And then you are really no like right libertarians, yeah?
True.
Like you get like these people like because it's the economy and the power structure. So the power structure you're
Mm.
either authoritarian, libertarian, and economically you're either left or right. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think so, and that's why I saw something funny. Yeah? After the American elections, people who are left
Mm.
libertarian and people who are right wing, like people who are left libertarian voted Democrat, yeah, but they thought it's
Yeah.
stupid, right? And they said it, yeah. So like this lady I saw, I don't remember her name on CNN. She was like, "We need to become the party of common sense again," right? Like, and guess who again says they're the party of common sense? Trump, who is a right wing person. Yeah.
Yeah.
And funny thing, the current American right wing, yeah, are people
Mhm.
who are left, were Democrats. Trump was a Democrat. Elon Musk was a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat. Actually, she was voted as an MP in the Democratic Party. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think maybe there is a shift. The Overton window shifts in some way that people end up something changes in them and then they become. That's why I was saying the richer you become, the more to lose you have. You end up becoming conservative, right?
Mm.
Because
Okay.
if I have more wealth than 90% of the countries in the world as an individual, I am a sovereign state, right? In
Mm.
reality, yeah. Of course, I become conservative because anything that causes disruption hits me hard.
Yeah.
Yeah? Individually, I feel it. So when
Mm.
Nvidia lost about what percent did their stock drop? I'll check it and then I'll put it on screen. Yeah? Then people's net worth dropped by that same percentage because DeepSeek
Yes.
just caused disruption, right? So that's why I'm saying when you are rich, you are likely to be conservative. It's very hard to
But
be
I'm not
rich.
rich. I just need a rich, wealthy man so that I can be more conservative.
But no, I think you are conservative. Yeah, like you have the values. Like strangely, like at least the key indicators.
Artificially. What do you mean? Hey.
No,
Hey. My God.
because we've known each other for long, right? So like I can
Yeah.
say like okay, like it's still Debbie, yeah.
Yeah.
But when Debbie is not protected by a university, they are a different person.
Mm.
Debbie,
Yes.
5 years
Yeah.
ago, you wouldn't have said that I want a rich man. You wanted to be the rich man.
The world is funny.
Yeah,
When you
like
come out here and you hustle and bustle and realize whatever you were taught in school is so ideological and it's not always um how it looks in the real world, and you're like, who you just need a sugar daddy somewhere. And I'm not saying sugar daddy the common term, but you just always need people to boost you to a certain elevation. I genuinely think that is why in business people are so adamant on knowing people is your resource. So yeah. So yeah, I have changed. I have
no,
changed.
I don't think you've changed. Yeah, I think you are still the same person.
My perception has changed.
The outcome is about being rich, right? You're still the same person,
Yeah,
right?
that is exactly.
I don't know. Like the problem is, I don't think I change enough on my end. I think I'm still the same person. Still, it's been 5 years.
But you see, we have two different dynamics.
Yeah, we have, but for me, I still think like I still want the social aspect of it, right? I want to be rich as an
Mm,
individual, yeah, but I also
mhm.
want to see everyone doing well, right? Like
That is
I'm not going.
impossible.
No, like really, no, it's not. It's been done
It
so many
is.
parts in this world.
By
Like there are
who?
a lot of countries in this world where everyone is rich. The problem is they have slaves. They don't call them slaves. They call them migrant workers. But
I think I am aware enough to there's a level of wealth you can reach that you would definitely hurt people. Not intentionally though. Very
yeah,
unintentional. Very unintentional. But it happens.
But, and this is the question, right? Because what happens, I think this is the difference between you and me, right? I
Yeah.
like, that's why you say, like, the first time you meet someone, you don't trust them. And I told you, like, I stopped trusting people after they do bullshit, right?
Mm.
And I always think, like, I don't think of myself as the rich person in my stories. I think of myself as the poor person who's going to be hurt. So I'm like, if I'm in this position, what is the minimum things that I would have and still keep some dignity with myself?
But you see
That's why I
that is
said
also you being a product of your environment. I
true,
don't
but
distrust people because I see them as bad people. I'm just aware I've been in places
they
and
can
environments where people have taken advantage.
exactly, right?
You
And
know,
that's why
at
I'm
the end
saying
of the day, we are animals. Yeah.
and that's why I'm saying it's different. At the end of the day, we are animals, but we are different animals. So, example, in my life, people have also taken advantage of me, but
Mm.
I always rationalize them taking advantage of me because of who I am.
No, I'm
Yeah, it
very
is because
sensitive.
no, it's and that no, it's because of who I am. Because if they do the same to you, we come out as
Yeah.
different people, right? So for me, I'm like, okay, I understand. Like naelewa hukuwa na sapa, right? Ni sawa.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, like get it. For me, I'm like, okay, maybe it's the situation. That's why I'm like, my goal, like my main thinking is to wear clothes is a human right, but
Mm.
to wear designer clothes should be on your expense, right? So like, I think in my setup, that's what I was saying. I think there's a balance where like people can still have dignity, yeah, and you can still be rich. I think there is. It's somewhere. We haven't
I
because
think
imagine how far the world has come, yeah, from kwanza as an African, like from colonial times, yeah, and
mm,
immediately after independence, yeah.
mhm,
Imagine how many people in Kenya were below the poverty line in, let's say, 1970, yeah,
a
and
lot.
how much that has changed, yeah. And we've done this with pure capitalism, right? It's pure
Yes.
capitalism. So someone is like, okay, it is the best system out of all the other systems, right? And you've said correctly, like school is ideological, right? These other systems
Yes.
are pure ideologies, right? Except
Yes.
even there was a time when capitalism was an idea, right?
Yes.
People are living in feudalism, right? So
Mm,
like
mm,
there was a time where capitalism itself was an idea. I'm just saying that
yeah.
we like on the spectrum of all the ideas that human beings can have, we have just not yet hit the correct point, yeah. Because you come to Kenya and it's so obvious. Debbie, you live around Nairobi area, right? Acha tuite Nairobi metropolitan, yeah?
Yeah.
Your experience there is so different from me in Nakuru.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so different. Like the environment is so different, yeah?
Mm,
And yet you look at the wealth gap all over Kenya, it's almost similar. The percentage, right? It's almost similar.
yeah.
The environment is different, and people are hustling. But also in Nairobi, people. You can die of hunger in Nairobi in your house.
Yes.
You can miss a
That is
job
a
in Nairobi.
very serious, that is happening to most households in Nairobi. And I
Yeah,
think
but
that is why it leads us to a different drive. I was talking to my friend and she lives in Nakuru. And we were comparing the fact that when I get money, the first thing I'm thinking to do is to buy land and build. Why? Because most of my parents were built around Nairobi. They were raised around Nairobi. Right now, finding land and building land in Nairobi, number one, is scarce and it's expensive. So that is my drive because unlike other people from other towns and other communities, they know they have a piece of land back at home. But I don't have that luxury. That is why I need a rich man. However, however, does that speak to my personality? It kind of shows, but at the same time, I'm also a product of my environment. So
Though
yeah,
I think your dreams are a product of your environment. Yeah? You are not. Your ambition is, but you yourself are not. Like you are like you were shaped by that environment, yeah, and it made you a person, right? And now you are at a point
yes,
where you can apply yourself to the world to create value,
hmm,
right? And
yes,
you are applying yourself in that way. Me, I also want to have a piece of land, but
yeah,
like, but maybe, and I've lived in Nairobi, I've lived in Nakuru. I lived in Nairobi for around
yeah,
11 years, right? I came back. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm likely to have a dignified life when I'm living in Nakuru than in Nairobi. Yeah. And
yeah,
maybe here I won't ever afford, let's say, a Range Rover if I just depend on the Nakuru economy. I'm not
yes,
going to drive. That's not going to happen. So if I depend on that, it won't work. If I depend on the Nakuru environment, yeah? But I'm likely to build a house before you, buy
yeah,
an average car before you, do ETC before
yes,
you. My level of the cost of living is cheaper here,
hmm,
right? Actually, even I got
yeah.
married before you, right? So like it's no.
We are keeping scores, surely.
No, I'm not keeping score. I'm just saying that's when I'm applied in Nakuru, I react different than when I'm applied in Nairobi. Because what will happen in Nairobi, I wouldn't have, because I'm not from Nairobi, most likely I wouldn't have bought land. I would have bought a flat,
Mm,
right? I buy a flat, I service a mortgage, I get a flat, and then I live there for the rest of my life. Yeah? And then my
yeah,
kids who will be born in Nairobi will want to buy land. Vicious cycle, right? The
yeah,
standard of living in Nairobi is better. Your access to high quality services is better. Just high quality restaurants alone, it's better.
yeah,
It's better in Nairobi. Restaurants are better, roads are better, the weather is Kenyan, so like you don't want it to rain in Nairobi because traffic is worse. So even traffic is better in that sense.
mm,
But I think like, and this maybe this is an idea that I should develop further and turn to a book at some point in my life. Yeah, that just that argument that personality reacts to environment to
mm,
have outcomes, right? To have outcomes, the outcomes it needs.
yeah.
Maybe I should just figure out like what are the building blocks and to what point. Yeah. But otherwise, I think we've had a dope discussion. I think you guys should join our membership. Just click join, you'll see all the tiers which are there. Your support will go a long way into making Debbie not want to be married by a rich man because she'll be able to afford food on her own. So
Oh my God.
have a great day. Please subscribe.
Please make sure to subscribe and comment down below.
Okay, please.
And give us
Every
your
time,
views
like, share your
and
experiences.
disagree.
Yeah, share your experiments. We want to know how your countries are, how your environments
Yeah.
are affecting you. Do you agree with our argument, or are we just talking shit? Like,
Yeah.
please, yeah, have a
Do you
great
think
time.
your personality has doomed you or not?
It has.